Today I'm going to share with you some of my very favorite 30-minute meals for my family. As school goes back in session, whether you're a schooler or a homeschooler like us, either way, it's important to have simple meals. We recently had a meeting, my husband and I, where we sat down and talked about our whole schedule. We really let things get kind of loose over the summer, and we're craving that structured time with back to school, and we completely redid everything different than how we did it last year. And so I am really needing some meals that are easy because I'm gonna have less time in the kitchen with the schedule that we're gonna do. And so that's what prompted this video. I'm sure a lot of you are also looking for that. The first thing I'm gonna share is orange chicken. We absolutely love this recipe. It has all very clean, delicious ingredients. Of course, sourcing is important for your ingredients. In my original recipe, I fry the chicken, and although that is way more delicious than this version, it's a lot more time consuming, a lot more effort, a bigger mess as well. And this particular version is just so simple, likely have the ingredients on hand. So let's jump in. The first thing I'm going to do is get some butter going in my cast iron skillet, get it really hot, and sear the chicken on both sides. Meanwhile, I'm going to get some rice going. I'm gonna, just for purpose of demonstration, do a cup of rice with 2 cups of water and let that simmer on the back burner while I also make my sauce. So with this meal, the key to the 30-minute thing is to, 1, have thawed out meat. I always keep meat thawed in the refrigerator, and if I have chicken, this is a meal that I love to make. And the second way that you're going to be able to make it 30 minutes is if you have all 3 things going at once. So get the rice going on the back burner while the chicken's searing, and then while those are going, start on your sauce. For the sauce, I am mixing up the juice and zest from 3 oranges. If you wanna make this super fast, you can also just buy orange juice. 3 tablespoons of coconut aminos or soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sweetener. I prefer maple syrup, but I'm actually out of it right now, and so I'm gonna do honey. You could also do brown sugar. 3 tablespoons of vinegar, 2 minced garlic cloves, and 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now you can leave the cornstarch completely out. You can also sub arrowroot powder. It does help to thicken it up, but it is optional. You can cover your rice and your chicken with some liquidy sauce. It's totally fine if it's not super thick, but it gives it more of that restaurant style quality whenever it can coat the back of a spoon. The second meal on my list is salmon. You can make this as simple or as fancy and complicated as you want. Just drizzling it with a bit of olive oil, adding salt, maybe a squeeze of lemon, and popping that in the oven is perfect. Today I'm gonna make a pesto, and I'm gonna serve it with potatoes and tomatoes. So right now, it's still garden season, and so we are just full of tomatoes and basil. And so naturally, the pesto idea is going to speak to me right now. So I'm gonna start by making my pesto. I already have the oven preheating. I'm just gonna eyeball this by putting in a whole bunch of basil, walnuts, olive oil, salt, and some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. After making the pesto, I'm going to slice up some of our little garden tomatoes and crowd those around the salmon and spread the salmon with the pesto. I'm also going to drizzle the tomatoes with a little bit of olive oil. There is already a good amount of olive oil in the pesto, so the salmon doesn't necessarily need that, but the tomatoes need a little bit more. Also adding a little bit of salt to taste, spreading the salmon with the pesto, topping it with some Parmesan cheese, and then popping it into a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes. One of the biggest mistakes with fish is overcooking it. It's really delicious before it reaches the point of being dry, especially when covered with pesto and cheese. I like to serve this meal with potatoes. The only way to make this a 30-minute meal with potatoes is by cooking it a little bit first and also cutting the potatoes smaller. So I'm gonna cut these pretty small and then get them started in this skillet here with some oil so that they're mostly cooked, and then pop them in the oven with the salmon to finish cooking.
Fresh cut grass, I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me and tell me all that you've seen, all the colors.
Right, the next thing I'm gonna make is cream meatballs, otherwise known as Swedish meatballs, and mashed potatoes. So the first thing I'm gonna get going to make this a 30-minute meal is my mashed potatoes. I'm just taking these yellow potatoes and cutting them in quarters so that they cook a little bit more quickly. If you have more time, a lot of times I just throw them in whole, you don't even cut them. Take a little bit longer to throw on the back of the stove. So if you have the time, it's a really good hands-off approach. Next, I'm going to get my meatballs going. This is good with sausage, with beef, any combination of the two. I personally just have some beef right now. I also don't have breadcrumbs, but when I don't, which is pretty much most of the time, if I have leftover sourdough bread, I'll crush that up. If I have actual breadcrumbs, that's always good. I believe there's an organic version on Thrive Market that I really like. Most of the time I don't have it, so I'll just add a little flour, probably about a quarter cup. I had a third cup here, but that's not what I'm gonna do. Sometimes I do einkorn or sometimes all-purpose, either one works. Also, I like to add an onion, but I have a whole bunch of green onions that are gonna go bad, so I'm gonna add these in instead. If you have kids who are a little picky, just make these really small and they won't figure it out. That actually reminds me, I have some shredded carrots in the refrigerator because I made a sourdough carrot cake for the blog, and I haven't found an occasion to use them yet. So I think I'm gonna throw those in. Absolutely not vital at all to the recipe, but meatloaf and meatballs are a good place to sneak in things. So like this fall, I'll probably sneak a lot of my freeze-dried zucchini into things like this because nobody notices or cares, and it's just a good way to add in that vegetable. I just try to eyeball salt. Usually what I do is I imagine this meat spread out in like burgers and just think about how much I would season it if it was all flattened out, because I mean, you can't really taste beef along the way, but I have a pretty good eye for the amount these days after some experience. Also gonna grab some Italian seasoning and throw that in. An egg, a little splash of milk, probably about a quarter cup. I've got a full stove right now. I have some broth going, which I'm gonna use for my cream gravy. So I'll just move that aside for now so I can fit everything. I have some leftover oil in my cast iron skillet from lunch, but if you don't, or if I was making this and I didn't, I would want to add in some butter or coconut oil or olive oil, avocado oil to cook up these meatballs. Now, the way I'm gonna make this a 30-minute meal is by making them smaller. So these are gonna cook up really, really quickly if I just make them a little bit smaller. That's pretty much the trick with everything like fast, is one, always have thawed meat, which I think I covered in an earlier recipe. And then two, make the thing smaller, whether it's potatoes, whether it's meatballs, those cook a lot quicker. I just put a lid on these meatballs so that they could cook all the way through for a few minutes. I'm gonna set them aside and work on a gravy. Right now, this is optional. If you are in a hurry, you need, you have 30 minutes tops, not a little bit more. Maybe don't do this step, but I'm gonna add some mushrooms because anything that has a cream sauce gravy, to me, tastes so much better with mushrooms. And if there's any kids in your family that don't like it, because I definitely have a few, I will just, when I make their plate, I'll just pull out the mushrooms because it's really easy. I don't make them very small. But then most of us actually really enjoy it, even some of the kids. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, in that beef fat, I'm going to saute the mushrooms, and then I'm gonna remove them and make the gravy. All right, scratch that I'm removing the mushrooms. I'm just gonna make it right here and keep this fast. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of flour into the beef fat. Normally for a gravy like this, I would add some butter, but since there's already all this beef fat that I don't really wanna remove, I'm just gonna do it like this. Now, the risk of this, of course, is that a lot of the flour sticks to the mushrooms, but I'm willing to take my chances. All right, next I have some beef stock that's been going. I'm gonna keep going with it so it's not done. But I'm just gonna remove a little bit of this meal and then keep simmering. I'll just put a little mesh strainer here. That's what I do whenever I want to use it while not taking it completely off. My goal here is to thicken this a bit and incorporate it with the flour before adding in the cream. All right, this is already thickening so beautifully. Didn't even have to remove the mushrooms, and now I'm gonna add in some fresh cream. Our cow is finally giving us so much more cream now, and we are loving it. Salt to taste, and fresh pepper. I'm gonna head outside and grab some thyme as well. I always like to add a little bit of freshness. Now in the middle of winter, that'll be a little harder, but I think thyme will be the perfect herb for this. Nice and thick. Add some thyme. I feel like making a thyme joke right now since we're doing 30-minute meals. All right, these are looking delicious. And now I'm gonna finish up my mashed potatoes so I can serve my cream gravy meatballs over those, which is a perfect side dish. Now you can also do pasta. I like to buy the einkorn fusilli pasta. that's a really quick way to just serve this up. So you can throw together the meatballs with minimal ingredients, add the cream and broth and flour and salt and pepper, and then just boil up some pasta. I'm making mine a little bit fancier, but you definitely can adjust this to what you currently have on hand and then how much time you also have. I hope that you enjoyed these 30-minute meal ideas. My hope for you is that they will help you as if your days like mine are getting a little bit more structured. We are coming off of the summer free-for-all and trying to bring back some order as we start homeschool. We need a lot of quick and easy meals ready to go to take that thought process out of it. If you're looking for more meal ideas, I do have this meal plan book. I released this last year, so if you got my fall meal plan last year, this is the same one. But for those of you who do not have access to this, it is a 28-day meal plan with shopping guides, all fall themed meals that can help you take the guesswork out of it. You can grab that at bit.ly/farmhouse fall meal plan. Again, that's bit.ly/farmhouse fall meal plan. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I make so many videos on cooking because it's something that I'm doing so much for my family of 9. Thank you so much for stopping by our farmhouse.